Hello everyone. Have you ever thought about studying abroad? Then this video is for you. In this video, we'll discuss which countries besides the USA are strong options for pursuing higher education. Stick around until the end as we explore destinations that tend to work well for Indian students, weigh their pros and cons, and explain how to pick the best fit for your career goals. The USA's recent policy changes have made the path for Indian students more uncertain. The H-1B cap is effectively constrained to around 100,000 visas, which makes full-time work harder to secure for fresh graduates. The salary-weighted lottery system further disadvantages graduates who start with lower salaries, and there have been reports of increased anti-India sentiment in parts of the US, creating an uncomfortable environment for some students. Taken together, these shifts have contributed to a notable decline in enrollments from India, with estimates ranging from 17% to 45% in certain cycles. This situation is why it makes sense to consider alternatives to studying in the US. In this video, we will look at 6 countries that are attractive to Indian students and cover expected budgets, typical placement outcomes, visa pathways, and other practical points you should know. So without further delay, let's start with number 7, the Netherlands. On the positive side, the Netherlands offers many English-taught master's programs, particularly in technology and management. Institutions such as TU Delft, Eindhoven University of Technology, and the University of Amsterdam are well regarded internationally. Graduates can apply for an orientation year permit that gives them 12 months to look for work in the EU, and once they secure employment, they can usually transition to a highly skilled migrant visa. The country also scores highly on quality of life, public transport, and ease of travel across Europe, which makes it appealing for international students. However, there are some downsides to consider. Living expenses in Amsterdam and other major Dutch cities can be high, and the housing market is competitive for international students. The job market for recent graduates is generally smaller than in the UK or Canada, and many employers favor applicants with strong local networks or language skills. Finally, the pathway to permanent residency is typically indirect. Graduates usually move to a work permit first and then apply for longer term residency, so it is not as fast as the routes available in Canada or Australia. Moving on to number 6, Ireland. On the plus side, Ireland is an English-speaking country with a strong presence of multinational tech companies in Dublin, Cork, and Limerick, which makes it attractive for students in IT and finance. The third-level graduate scheme allows eligible graduates to stay for up to 2 years after completing their studies, providing useful time to look for employment. The student visa process is generally straightforward, and Ireland is known for being welcoming to international students. But there are challenges here too. The cost of living in Dublin, especially rent, is very high and often forms the largest part of a student's budget. Long-term residency is not automatic after study. In most cases, permanent residency requires around 5 years of legal residence in the country. The domestic job market is also smaller and more dependent on a handful of large employers, which can make options narrower compared with the UK or Canada. Next up, at number 5, we have Singapore. First, the advantages. Singapore is home to world-class universities such as NUS, NTU, and SMU, and it attracts strong recruiter interest from finance and technology firms. Its proximity to India, combined with a stable and safe city-state environment and excellent infrastructure, makes it a convenient option for many students. Graduates typically have a period of up to 6 months to look for work, and a number of employers are willing to sponsor employment passes for skilled hires. On the flip side, the cost of living and tuition in Singapore is high, scholarships are limited, and competition for places can be intense. There is no long guaranteed post-study work visa. Continued employment depends on finding a sponsoring employer quickly. Obtaining permanent residency is also challenging without several years of local work experience. At number 4, we have the UK. For starters, the UK offers a graduate route visa that permits up to 2 years of work following a master's degree and 3 years after a PhD, which is a strong advantage for international students. Its universities carry a powerful global reputation, that helps with placements and future career mobility. There is also a large and active Indian student community, and many programs accept 3-year bachelor degrees. But here's the catch: tuition and living costs, particularly in London, are high, and total student budgets for a 2-year master's often exceed 40 to 50 lakhs rupees. To pursue permanent residency, most international graduates must switch to a skilled worker visa and accumulate roughly 5 years of residency while meeting salary thresholds and finding sponsoring employers. Post Brexit immigration rules have made the transition from student to worker more complex than it used to be. Coming in at number 3 is Canada. One of the biggest benefits is Canada's Post Graduation Work Permit, or PGWP, which can allow graduates to work for up to 3 years after completing their studies. This provides ample time to gain local experience and build a career. The country also has clear pathways to permanent residency through express entry and provincial nominee programs, and these routes are particularly favorable for tech and STEM graduates. Canadian universities and communities are generally welcoming and supportive of international students. However, there are important trade offs. Outside coastal regions such as Vancouver, Canadian winters can be severe and may require significant cultural adjustment for students from India. Housing costs in major cities like Toronto and Vancouver have been rising rapidly, meaning the total cost of living is no longer low in those locations. Finally, successful job searches still often rely on local experience, so fresh graduates should prioritize internships and networking. Taking the number 2 spot is Australia. On the positive side, Australia's post-study work visa, subclass 485, typically grants master's graduates 2 to 3 years of work rights, and in some cases up to 4 years if the study was completed in a regional area. This period is valuable for gaining the local experience needed for longer-term visas. There are clear pathways to permanent residency for many in occupations such as software engineering and data science, and points-tested visas often favor young skilled graduates with Australian qualifications and local experience. Australia also tends to accept 3-year Indian bachelor degrees and does not usually require the GRE, making it more accessible than some other options. But there are some downsides to keep in mind. The overall cost of studying in Australia can be high. Total expenses for a 2-year master's often range from roughly 35 to 60 lakhs when tuition and living costs are included, particularly in cities like Sydney and Melbourne. In recent years, visa scrutiny for applicants from India has increased in some cycles, which has translated into higher rejection rates for certain applicants and slower commencements despite high overall enrollments. Australia's geographic distance and cost of travel to India can also contribute to homesickness and add to the total cost of living abroad. And finally, at number 1, Germany. The primary advantage here is that many public universities in Germany charge little or no tuition for international students, which can dramatically reduce the total cost of a degree. The country has a strong engineering, automotive, and manufacturing ecosystem, and numerous companies offer internships, apprenticeships, and entry-level roles that are relevant to technical graduates. Graduates can also apply for an 18-month job search visa after completing their studies, and it is possible to obtain permanent residency after roughly 21 to 33 months of qualified work depending on the circumstances. On the negative side, a majority of well-paid roles still require German language skills, so learning German is often essential for many fields. University admissions and visa processing can be bureaucratic and slower than in Anglo-Saxon systems. Housing in cities such as Berlin and Munich is tight, and initial costs like rental deposits and setup expenses can add up quickly.